For those who enjoy wandering at night, have you ever come across something truly terrifying? I've experienced something that even now I can't fully explain. My name is James, and I grew up in a rural village where darkness was as familiar as the air I breathed. In the countryside of my childhood, streetlights were a rarity, and the homes along the dirt roads offered little light to guide the way. The night was a vast inky canvas, unbroken by the glow of civilization. I've always found solace in the quiet of the night. There's a peace to it, a stillness that feels untouched by the chaos and hurry of the day. It's a time when the world seems to pause and you can hear your own thoughts clearly. Growing up, I often took my dog Max for walks under the starlit sky, or I'd set up my camera to capture the constellations. Those moments felt like a gift, a chance to connect with something larger than myself. When my family moved to the city, I carried those memories with me, a quiet longing for the open fields and towering hills of my childhood. In the city, the night was never truly dark, drowned out by streetlights and the constant hum of life. I missed the simplicity of the countryside where the stars were bright enough to guide your way. That longing often pulled me back. I'd drive 40 or 50 kilometers from the city to the rural areas where I grew up, seeking the wide fields and high hills where I could set up my telescope and lose myself in the stars. It was a ritual, a way to reconnect with the boy I used to be, the one who'd lie in the grass and dream under the endless sky. One night during one of these trips, something happened that I still can't fully make sense of. It was a clear, cool night, the kind where the air feels crisp against your skin. I was driving along a quiet highway, the road stretching out before me like a ribbon under the moonlight. Max was curled up in the passenger seat, his soft snores a comforting rhythm against the hum of the engine. The highway was deserted, as it often was at that hour, with only the occasional flicker of a distant car's headlights to break the monotony. I was lost in my thoughts, the radio playing softly, when I noticed a figure walking along the side of the road. It was a man whom I'll call Ethan. He was alone, moving steadily along the shoulder. What struck me as odd was that he had no light, no flashlight, no reflective clothing, nothing to make himself visible in the dark. The only thing he carried was a large dark green backpack slung over his shoulders. It was bulky, almost comically oversized, and it swayed slightly as he walked. I slowed down a bit, my headlights catching the outline of his figure. Who walks along a highway at night without any gear, I thought. If a car didn't see him, it could end badly. Shaking my head, I dismissed it as reckless, but not unheard of. People did strange things sometimes. I pressed on, leaving Ethan behind in the darkness. The road wound through the countryside, the landscape familiar, yet always a little mysterious at night. I drove for another 6 kilometers or so, my mind drifting to the stars I'd soon be photographing. Then to my shock, I saw him again. Ethan. The same man with the same oversized green backpack walking along the side of the road. My heart skipped a beat. How could this be? I hadn't turned off the highway or changed direction. I was driving at over 60 kilometers an hour, and there was no way a person on foot could have covered that distance so quickly. It was impossible. I slowed the car again, my eyes locked on him. The backpack, the way he moved it, was unmistakably the same man. No light, no reflective gear, just Ethan and his backpack plodding along as if he hadn't a care in the world. My mind raced. Maybe it was someone else, but the backpack was too distinctive and the road was too empty for coincidence. As I drew closer, Ethan turned toward my car, raised a hand and waved. It was a slow, deliberate gesture, almost friendly, but it sent a chill through me. The hairs on my arms stood up, and I felt a coldness settle in my chest, like a warning I couldn't ignore. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe I'd misjudged the distance. Maybe there was a shortcut I didn't know about. But deep down, I knew those explanations didn't hold. There was no logical way for Ethan to have gotten ahead of me. I pressed the gas pedal, urging the car forward, my eyes flicking to the rearview mirror as his figure faded into the night. Max stirred in the seat beside me, sensing my unease. His ears perked up, as if he too felt something was off. I continued driving, my heart still pounding, until I reached the spot I'd chosen for stargazing, a remote hill far from any houses or lights. It was a place I'd visited many times before, a clearing surrounded by tall grass and a low wooden fence. The nearest village was at least 5 kilometers away, and the silence here was absolute, broken only by the rustle of leaves or the occasional call of a night bird. I parked the car, stepped out, and began setting up my equipment. The telescope, the camera, the tripod, all carefully arranged as I prepared to capture the sky. Max wandered nearby, sniffing the ground, his tail wagging lazily. I turned off the car's headlights, letting my eyes adjust to the darkness. The stars were brilliant, a glittering tapestry that made the world feel vast and small all at once. I sat on a blanket, sipping coffee from a thermos, letting the quiet wash over me. For about 30 minutes, everything was perfect. The air was cool, the stars were bright, and the world felt right. Then I heard it. A sound, faint at first, coming from the direction of the fence, about 15 meters away. It was a rustling like leaves being brushed aside, followed by the unmistakable snap of twigs breaking underfoot. My body tensed. This wasn't the sound of an animal. It was too heavy, too deliberate. It was the sound of someone or something moving toward me. My heart began to race. This place was isolated, far from any houses or roads. No one should be out here, especially not at this hour. Max growled softly, his ears pinned back, his eyes fixed on the darkness beyond the fence. The rustling grew louder, closer, and I felt a primal sense of danger, an instinct that screamed at me to move. I didn't think, I acted. I grabbed my camera, telescope and blanket, tossing them into the trunk with frantic speed. Max jumped into the car as I slid into the driver's seat, slamming the door shut. I turned on the headlights, flooding the clearing with light, but there was nothing there, just the fence, the grass and the empty night. I started the engine and peeled out of the clearing, the tires kicking up dirt as I sped away. As I passed the spot where I'd heard the noises, my headlights caught something in the mud, fresh footprints, deep and clear, as if someone had stood there moments ago. But there was no one. No figure, no movement, nothing but the prints. My stomach twisted and I pressed the gas harder, the car roaring down the narrow road. The drive home was a blur. I kept checking the rearview mirror, half expecting to see Ethan's silhouette in the distance, that green backpack looming like a spectre. Max sat upright now, his eyes wide, as if he sensed the same unease. When I finally reached the city, I didn't pull into my driveway. Instead, I parked around a corner, turned off the lights, and sat in the dark, watching, waiting. For 30 minutes I stayed there, scanning the street for any sign of movement. Only when I was certain nothing was out of place did I step out and walk to my house. Inside, I locked every door and window, my hands shaking as I turned the bolts. It might sound paranoid, but in that moment, safety was all that mattered. I sat in the living room, Max curled up at my feet, and replayed the night in my mind. The man on the highway appearing twice when he shouldn't have. The waves so casual yet so unsettling. The footprints in the mud with no one to claim them. I couldn't shake the feeling that Ethan, or whatever he was, had followed me to that hill, that he'd been there watching just out of sight. The memory of that night lingers, a puzzle I can't solve. I still go stargazing, but I'm more cautious now, sticking to familiar spots closer to home. Max is always with me, his presence a comfort against the unknown. But every time I drive down a dark road, I find myself glancing at the shoulder, half expecting to see a man with a green backpack, walking where no one should be.